thanks a lot, and thanks for everybody who's joining. And there are a lot of people still joining, but maybe we can start with some context setting. I think there are a lot of sessions, series people do about different areas, but at least on the consumer brand side, I think the knowledge sharing has not been as great. So at least what Vinay at Fireside and we were thinking is that maybe we start a series of talks, approximately at a frequency of about once in 2 weeks, where we cover different topics that might be relevant to people building online brands, D2C brands, and maybe new age brands per se. So we had done one session on Clubhouse, got a lot of response, but obviously Clubhouse is only iPhone, so we thought it would be good to just do it on a more open forum. So that today is one of the sessions of the first session on the webinar-based model. Maybe what I'll do is I'll start by introducing the topic, introducing everybody else on the panel, and we'll then get into some discussion mode. So the topic that we decided for the first session was to talk about conversational commerce and how that relates to new age brands. And on the panel, we have Vinay. Vinay is a partner at Fireside. I think I told it last time also, he's my go-to person on anything to do with brands. Comes with a very unique experience of having built a startup, and prior to that worked in several FMCG companies, including Unilever. We also have Nikhil and Aniket, both founders of Limechat. And, fortunately, unfortunately, they'll be under the scanner today, given that they are the experts on conversational commerce. So we'll ask a lot of questions from them. I also have my colleague, Naman. Naman has also been two-time founder, once for a consumer brand, one for a local service, hyper-local service, and worked in two different scaled startups in very early days, Flipkart and Topper. So why don't we get started? Maybe Vinay, if you want to shoot some of the basic questions on the topic, and then we'll follow on from there.
And thanks, Rahul, for helping organize this. I think just the way D2C commerce is growing and the help required, especially from the tech ecosystem. Couldn't think of better partners to help us navigate this. So thank you so much, Naman, Rahul, the team at Stellaris for helping organize this, and of course Aniket and Nikhil. You guys are busy people, and thank you so much for taking the time to educate us on this very interesting topic. So without further ado, conversations on conversational commerce, right? What would be interesting is, Aniket, Nikhil, just to understand, your backstory and, what are your personal experiences that led you to start Limechat? What was so compelling about it? And by now, those are the just help us understand and get context of Limechat before we start grilling you in the boiler room.
No, we love this. Thank you so much again, Rahul and Vinay and Naman, for organizing this. Happy to give you a basic introduction about what we do. So kind of like a glimpse of what we do here at Limechat. We kind of are building the next generation of conversational AI technologies to help engage with customers in the D2C sector. That is our specialty. We are only focused with working with these type of brands because they have a very unique type of problem. And we take care of the customer throughout the buying journey, from chat marketing to bringing that customer on a chat platform like WhatsApp, engaging with them, helping them with product discovery, helping them find the right type of product for themselves, and actually helping them with the purchase inside chat itself. So we feel that it's like the next generation of how a consumer interacts with brands, and there's more closeness between a particular brand, increases loyalty, things like that. So how we got into this is very interesting. Aniket and I are actually batchmates from IIT Delhi. We both are computer science engineers, and we have a background in AI research, especially in natural language processing. So we've researched at MIT, CMU, IIT Delhi, and so we had a good grasp of this next generation of tech, this conversational AI. We call this as level 3 AI, and I will hopefully have time to explain what this is in the future. So we're working with this exciting technology, and then there's all these type of things are happening around us at the same time. We're seeing this D2C boom happening all around us in India, outside of India, in the US as well. And along with that, you also see the advent of WhatsApp as being a channel of communication between brands and their customers. And more brands want to use and leverage WhatsApp as a medium of communication rather than mail and SMS. And third, it was the advent of COVID-19. So all of these things came together. More people are willing to buy online. More D2C brands are blossoming. And we understood that we have this great technology. Can we use this to assist these brands engage with these customers on mediums such as WhatsApp? So naturally, when we started thinking about this, you start thinking about chatbots, right? You start thinking about chatbot technologies. So we started searching around all the other chatbot players that are available. And it turned out that they weren't really focused on D2C brands, right? And so that's how we kind of got started. We understood the technology, we understood what was needed. So we started doing a lot of market research and starting to talk to a lot of these D2C brands naturally. And we got a large number of insights from, what separates them from a typical, maybe a bank or an airlines. And there's a lot of nuances that we started to capture. And over a period of time, we got really well capable of handling those nuances and actually help convert their customers on chat, right? So that was the birth of Limechat. And right now we are in our process of, going global and working with US clients as well.
So, pardon my ignorance, but I'm a consumer guy, so I can maybe take this leap of faith. Not a tech person. So what is this level 3 AI? Like, does the AI get a black belt and things happens at level 3? Do they take over the world? Like, are we seeing the beginning of Terminator?
Yeah, let me take that one. I would say that it is just one step away from that one, that level. But like, if you really look at the way AI has progressed in the last 5 years, there have been leaps and bounds of progress just in 2019, which is almost comparable to the entire progress which happened in the past 10 years. And you can see that in other domains as well, like in GPT-3, for example, which is able to write entire blogs by itself by just giving one sentence. So we were also working in the conversational AI space, and we knew of all these advancements. And if you look at the conversational AI space specifically, the earlier state of the art for conversational AI was just the ability to understand questions and answer those questions. But it was nowhere near a human-like level of experience. And level 3 AI is like one step apart from all the previous generations because it is able to provide this human-like level of experience. And the reason why it is able to do that is because it is able to understand this thing called context. And what I mean by context is the ability to understand all kinds of past data. So not only what the user has said currently, but also what he has said in the past and what he has done in the past, like what ads he has seen, what has been his purchasing behavior, all that kind of stuff. And if you look at level 3 AI in the context of D2C brands, then the possibilities become endless because we are able to give that actual human-like level of experience, like it happens in a sales store. So you can actually use context to, so when a user comes and says, I'm looking for a face wash, you can not only understand that the person is looking for a face wash, but you can also understand that you need like 2-3 different pieces of information. And you can actually leverage things like the user has oily skin, which he might have said sometime earlier, or he might have bought some kind of other product earlier. So you can leverage that kind of information to reduce his decision-making steps, his or her decision-making steps, and like show them the product right then. So it will both be very personalized as well as very engaging because there are no decision-making steps, and it is like tailored to the person's preferences. The same thing happens when the user asks a question, because you're able to understand the user just says like, does it have any side effects? So you have to understand that it refers to something which we were talking about 2 or 3 sentences before, that face wash. And you need to understand that the person has oily skin and give some kind of tailored answer based on that. You can't just show lots of content like you do on the website. So in terms of D2C brands, level 3 AI has given this huge superpower of being able to automate conversations by giving a human-like level of experience and engagement.
And who are these customers that really require or are delighted with this conversational commerce experience? Because there are a critical mass of Indian consumers today who are using the regular, UI UX interfaces that an app or a web page would give to consummate their transaction.
Right.
So where does this really fit in?
Right. So if you look at the website buying experience, like the drop-offs are really huge. Around 90 to 95% of the people drop off because it is not very engaging. And like people have been forced to understand and learn this concept of e-commerce. People have to learn how to use apps because it is like a very individualistic experience. You have to go and make decisions. You have to look at different products, understand for whom they're made, understand all the content about the ingredients and all that stuff. And uh, but when WhatsApp launched, like nobody had to teach anyone WhatsApp. Like people just started using it on its own, and that is why the growth happened. So, like in general, chat comes much more easily to Indians, and that is and in terms of commerce specifically, they have been very used to this because they have been buying through stores, and in the lockdown specifically, they have been leveraging WhatsApp to buy, like by conversing with shopkeepers in their locality. So, like what I feel is what we feel and the trends which we have seen is that people are much more comfortable conversing with a person on chat than actually going to a website or app to buy. And these are the and once consumers want something, like brands, it definitely makes sense for brands to start giving that thing. And like if people want this channel of buying through a chat medium like WhatsApp or Messenger, then it really makes sense to for any brand to establish that as also as a secondary channel of income and actually try to make it comparable to like the website channel basically. So that is what we feel, that it will become comparable to the website channel like 2 or 3 years down the line.
And in the offline world, there were some categories which were more maybe involved purchases, which required, beauty advisors or store assistants or, somebody to help the consumer navigate the category at the store to help, consummate the transaction. So are you seeing Limechat as the digital equivalent of a beauty assistant in the online D2C world?
Yeah, so I'll take that one. So you're absolutely right. That's how we kind of got started with the concept. If you think about it, there's different ways of how we sell to consumers. One is a consultative type of approach. Oh, this is basically when people have some sort of problem that they need a solution for, and they're looking for the right type of product, right? So, for example, if you have a person they have acne issues, right? They're looking for something that could help treat their acne. They know that this is the problem. They might go to a sales assistant to ask, I need help with acne. What's the best solution you have for me? Right. And the sales assistant will give them 3-4 options and ask further more questions, say this is the right one for you. So what essentially that does is just, it helps you make the decision. I know exactly that this person is expert. He does this all day in, day out, and they know what's right for me. So I have more confidence in that purchase. So that's why sales assistants in stores are so effective. I mean, they're expensive to have so many people for each individual shopper, but they're so effective in converting that sale. Now we want to bring that same concept into a chat meeting. Right now we don't have physical people to interact with each consumer, right? So we need some sort of automation to kind of help do that. So we mimic that consultative type of experience. We get input from the user and give the right type of recommendations, suggestions to remove the decisions from the process and give them confidence that, okay, this is the right type of product. The second type of thing is a concept-based selling, right? That you have a very innovative new type of product and you want to just advertise that this is innovative. If you like that innovation, please buy it, right? It could be something like, unprocessed ghee or the new fabric. It's a breathable fabric for your clothes that don't even need washing or drying. It could be completely new fabric. And there are a lot of brands which are built on that USP. How are they different? They're different because they have maybe all natural ingredients, etc. And you want to kind of reinforce that in the minds of the consumer. And if you can give, again, enough examples, they can convert. You give them enough case studies, you give them enough social proof, say that this is the hottest new trending item right now in our category, then they are pushed to buy. And there's a third type of category, which is like browse-based selling. So this is more in fashion and jewelry, where people don't really have an idea what they want. They have a preference in mind, but they don't even know how to say it out loud. Now, you can't just go to a salesperson, I need clothes and I don't know, you show me and I'll pick, right? So that's a really hard problem. That requires, it's hard to do that over text. That is still a kind of industry that we're working towards. And it's going to require more advancements, not only on text AI, but on image AI. So people can maybe put in the images of their favorite jewelry brands or the jewelry designs or favorite clothes. And using AI, you can actually do an image search of the best products in a similar way. right? So we kind of feel that the way this technology is moving along, we are replacing those in-store assistants online.
Very interesting.
Nikhil, there are a couple of questions I'm also curious to know. Chat today is more, at least in India, done on WhatsApp and Telegram and other messenger apps. Does your technology work on those platforms, or one needs to come to the website to make this happen?
Oh, we have a technology independent of the channel that you're using, right? Chat is just a channel. It's a channel to transmit thoughts or ideas or text. That could be WhatsApp, that could be Facebook, that could be Instagram, that could be a web widget on a website. So our technology works across them. Now, to set up these channels, it's fairly straightforward. Each one of these channels, provides ways for brands to kind of set them up. They provide APIs which you can integrate with, right? So I think that's pretty straightforward. That's a very necessary part. You don't want to not be able to serve the highest, reaching channels such as WhatsApp. So I think WhatsApp is a hallmark. Most companies, but what happens is WhatsApp has an open rate of around 98, 99%. So if you send a person a message on WhatsApp, they are bound to read it. And if you can send that as a brand, maybe that, hey, people send their abandoned cart messages now on WhatsApp. It's a re-engagement. People send messages like, you bought this product a week ago or a month ago, why don't you buy it again? And if you're getting that message on WhatsApp and you can actually do that whole conversation purchase right on there on the chat itself, then what we saw and what we're seeing right now is that the conversions are actually going up because people are able to use it on channels. They don't have to stay on the website. So when you talk about previous technologies, and this is why our technology is called level 3 AI. Previous technologies were click-based technologies, level 1, level 2. You had to have a click-based interface to kind of take input from the user. So you see a lot of chatbots on websites, native chatbots. You cannot really type anything. You can only click on items to go forward. You don't have that option in WhatsApp. WhatsApp is hard. People always want to put natural conversation on those channels. You can say that, okay, I give them options and they can click 1, 2, 3 by putting it. People don't like to follow that. Over 50 to 60% conversations don't follow the natural buttons. So you need to have that next generation of tech to handle conversations on WhatsApp. So I think since we're able to provide level 3, we're able to handle WhatsApp as well, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, etc.
And WhatsApp's policies are becoming more conducive for this kind of intervention with consumers. At least maybe a year or two ago, they were more around customer service use cases rather than customer sales use cases. So how are you seeing that piece evolving?
Oh, I think it's fantastic. I think there's a lot of infrastructure that we can use straight off the bat. WhatsApp is introducing things like WhatsApp Shop, right? So you can actually put a whole catalog of your products right there on WhatsApp itself. So what our bot can do, what our technology can do, it can integrate with the catalog on WhatsApp for the brand and use those UI elements to show to the customer, right? So instead of building something an image and sending some text, you can now use those elements that's providing. And I think Facebook and WhatsApp are more aligned. They understand that shopping is happening through those channels. You must have heard about the update that happened in terms of privacy policy in Feb that it had everyone kind of surprised. It was all around shopping, very frankly. All the data that they were asking for is that if you talk to brands through WhatsApp, are you giving permission to Facebook to kind of, market based on the type of conversation you're having on top of that? People took it in the wrong direction, but very frankly, their whole mindset, their whole thought process is to give more tools to enable conversational commerce.
And if we were to look at some of the categories on D2C in India, especially like, personal care, beauty, fashion, maybe electronics, within these categories, what kind of use cases lend themselves very well to conversational commerce? So for example, if I'm running a brand in the beauty space, which consumer archetypes or which consumer journeys are best orchestrated on the conversational channel?
Right. So let me take that one. So a lot of customers, when they initially brands actually see a lot of customers coming to to WhatsApp, and we analyze from which part of the journey do these people actually come. So some people actually come even at the very beginning of the pre-purchase journey, because they just don't want to use the website. They're more comfortable chatting. And some people actually a small number of people actually face some problems discovering the right products, because there are a lot of products and they're not exactly sure that for their particular skin type which is right. Or for example, if there is a face wash and there are 3 types of face wash, so they are a bit confused that which one is right for them. So some people come during product discovery, and a lot of people come to get their pre-purchase queries answered, like what are the side effects for this, how do I use this, right, how does this really work, has it worked for other people, what are the ingredients, like are these ingredients safe and certified and all that stuff, because that is usually how the brand differentiates itself as well. So like that is actually a very big opportunity for the brand to create a brand in the customer's mind, create a mind share in the customer's mind as well. So basically people come at all parts of the journey, like before they have started the journey, when they want to discover products, and when they want their pre-purchase queries answered. And this is happening organically. If you want to drive people inorganically to chat, you can also do that directly by linking an ad to your WhatsApp or your Facebook Messenger, so people can directly start their entire journey there. So
And therefore, if I were to kind of use that as a framework and say any kind of drop-offs that happen somewhere after adding to cart or maybe after the landing page, if I were to use your chat interface as a remarketing idea, saying, hey, there's some query that this customer couldn't kind of figure out, so let me get them into chat directly, so my remarketing creatives have a direct talk to us WhatsApp CTA. Is that something that you guys are seeing emerging as the next wave of how we think about funnels?
right, that is very very interesting. Like we are extremely focused on that, and we are seeing a lot of traction along those lines, because not only can you remarket on Facebook and get those people on WhatsApp, you can also directly remarket on WhatsApp. So if it is an existing customer, or if it is an abandoned checkout, or more importantly, if the entire pre-purchase journey happened on WhatsApp itself, like even if the person dropped off during the pre-purchase query stage, you can still remarket to him on WhatsApp by sending him outbound messages, or of course through like Facebook or Instagram, like it happens normally. So we are seeing like much better conversion percentages through remarketing on WhatsApp, and because we are able to complete that journey on chat itself, we don't have to take them to website and like suffer the same reasons for drop off once again. So
And when your brands are working with you on these vectors, right? Whether it's remarketing on WhatsApp or remarketing to audiences on Facebook, Instagram, and then getting them onto chat saying, hey, let me answer your queries here.
yes.
What kind of metric improvements are you seeing with the brands that you're working for? So is the conversion rate going up by X, or is the CAC dropping by Y? What can one expect when working on conversational
Right.
commerce?
Right. We have just started some preliminary experiments in remarketing, but we have seen the remarketing CAC drop by a lot, because you are able to send out these outbound messages for virtually no cost on WhatsApp, and you are able to engage these customers back instead of like targeting 3 or 4 ads on different channels. Like you're only able to leverage WhatsApp to get these people back, and we are also seeing improved conversion rates, because the entire experience happens on chat, because the closure happens on chat as well. The entire checkout process happens on chat. The payment is the final thing which happens on the website. And because this is much more seamless than the website, it has a few less steps. So we are able to see somewhat increased conversion rates as well, like around 15 to 20% increase compared to the normal conversion rates.
Wow.
So, a couple of maybe announcements. I think another, like Vinay and I both have a lot of questions, but maybe in another 5-7 minutes, we'll open up to the audience. So please do raise your hands if you have any questions. There are 1 or 2 questions that came up in the chat, which are quite interesting, Nikhil and Aniket. There is a turnoff also that a lot of consumers have if they realize they are talking to a bot. And again, depending on the audience, you may find that people actually feel that this website is basically not wanting to cater to me, hence they've handed me over to a bot. Any views on that, as in, or is this again at a level where you will not feel like you're talking to a bot? How does the consumer experience look like?
Oh, I think that's a great question. So there's a fine line between how you want to portray yourself. Very frankly, you don't want to portray yourself being a bot as a human. You don't want to say that you're a human, or you don't want to give a glimpse that you're a human. You want to make it very straightforward that, I'm a bot, but I'll be able to help you with your queries. You don't want to say that I'm a replacement for a human, because that makes the person uneasy or the customer uneasy as well. So you have to make that evident, very frankly, but you also have to show the capability of what you can do. So people, how they figure this out is they ask a hard question in the very beginning, and we're able to handle that really well. And then they get the confidence, oh, this is interesting. And then they start playing around with it. So we have a lot of conversations that come in. People are originally, clicking on buttons. What I mean by clicking on buttons is typing in 1 or 2. But in the middle, they try putting in a natural text query, and they see that it's getting resolved properly. And then they start completely shifting away from buttons and asking questions every single time in the later part of the conversation. So it's like a learning that people are also having along with us. And I think it's very important for us to understand that people are not well equipped of understanding that, okay, this is also a way that you can buy online. So we kind of see this as something that, it'll take time for people to also get accustomed to. But once they see the effectiveness of a solution like this, they do come back. So what happens is, from the numbers that we see, is that we're getting a lot of repeat users coming who've already bought once on chat. They're coming again through remarketing, or they found the experience much more compelling. And when you actually go ahead and call these consumer groups up and see, why did you approach the chat rather than going on the website to buy? And they just said, it just felt like my questions were being answered, instead of me finding questions. I had a question in my mind. I came here. It took me 10 seconds to get an answer, as compared to me searching for that question everywhere on the website. There's no easy way for me to do that. So it's a mix and match. You have to be careful about that amount of automation you're putting in.
There's another question that came up around, I think Vinay asked that also, that what is the ROI one should expect, and what kind of integration do you guys do on the storefront, with the storefront, as in what is that effort involved? Are there constraints there? And what is the ROI one can expect? If my conversion is 2%, how much should I expect it to improve by?
Right. So in terms of ROI, we actually are, like we said, we're seeing a huge amount of improvement in converting customers on chat as compared to the website. Like you said, there's a 2 to 3% conversion rate on the website. On chat, so out of 100 people who come and talk to us on chat, we're seeing around 15 to 20% are actually completing payment. 40% of our users are actually generating a payment link. They say that I have an intent to buy. This is mostly because it's not just that we show them the right product, but they actually ask a lot of follow-up questions on those products. So one thing we understood is that people, especially for D2C, each brand, and I'm sure everyone on this call, you have some sort of USP that you're trying to sell to your consumers. Now, why are you better? There are 100 companies out there, 100 D2C brands like you, who are selling maybe the same type of solution. But why is your solution better? Or how can this help? Maybe there are no side effects. You dynamically generate questions to show to the consumer as well. And they also like to get the right type of information to get the confidence. It's all about confidence. You want to give them enough confidence to buy. So now that is something that we have validated, that you actually get a lot more confidence through this chat medium, because it's like a consultative type of experience, and the conversion rates are higher. So what we see with some of our brands, I won't take any names right now, but they're over lakhs of sales in a week through our bot system. And this is without any marketing. These are just inbound. They just release their number. There's a chat icon of WhatsApp on their website. And just through that, they're getting lakhs of sales. Once we start doing remarketing, so chat marketing, that's the next step in this exciting journey, that you actually push out these Facebook ads and Instagram ads. And when people click on it, they see a product, they like it, they click on it, they don't take them to the website, they take them to the chat. Because that person, he doesn't want to explore the whole website. He wants to know about that product. He wants to have the right type of information, nudges to buy that product. So what we're seeing is that once we bring all this traffic to chat, the conversion, the ROIs will just improve dramatically.
Rahul, that's super interesting. And Nikhil, just to follow up on the same one. So what you're saying is that these 20% who complete a transaction, or 40% who generate a payment link, you are able to again segment them and remarket them separately based on their last interaction on chat.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very important that you understand remarketing and retargeting in this, because again, you're able to do that. You're not using SMS, you're not using email, you're using WhatsApp, you're using Insta. This is the bread and butter of particular cohorts of the society. So all you have to do is figure out those cohorts who like chat better, and then go for it. And you will see the increased numbers. So that's something we help with. We analyze all the consumers, how they're interacting with the bots, we help build those cohorts for the customers, right? And it's similar to what CleverTap does on an email and SMS marketing. We use that data from even CleverTap or from different places, integrate and push out those retargeted messages. We integrate with actually storefronts, like you mentioned earlier, that we will link with Shopify directly, WooCommerce directly, Magento. That helps us to know what customers are coming in, and it also helps us to figure out what type of order history that they have from previous purchases. That helps us personalize the experience for them, essentially. Right. We also integrate with like logistics providers. So people have a lot of questions about where their order is, how to receive it, how to cancel it, etc. And again, they get that untouchable, like instantaneously through a chat medium. Again, retargeting. So let's say that person has confirmed an order. What you do is on WhatsApp, you send them a link that, okay, if you have any questions about the order, you can click on this link to see the tracking information, or you can ask me for anything else. So what that does again is just making it easier for your consumer to stay in touch with you. They have doubts, they have questions, just easier for them to get it resolved. That's all we're trying to do.
Another interesting question on the Q&A board is, how do you handle English as a language? Because a lot of people talk in English, especially when it comes to chat and WhatsApp. And probably that opens a broader question, like can vernacular interaction is possible in these platforms?
Right. So we have actually, after analyzing the chats which are coming in, we have focused a lot on handling vernacular as well. So the key to that is actually building great translation systems so that we can leverage all the level 3 AI capabilities that we have built for English, also for vernacular, and give that same kind of seamless experience in different languages. So like we do handle like all the main languages, around like 10-20 of the main languages in that sense. But that is definitely an important point, and you actually have to figure out like, when is this a customer who wants to speak vernacular or not? And we are typically able to do that based on the kind of inputs the person is giving in. Like if they have started the conversation themselves in their language, then it makes sense to seamlessly switch to that language from our side. So we have vernacular is important, and that is why we have also put a lot of information, like a lot of resources to make it work.
I think there's another question around how much time does it take for a particular customer to, basically, I don't know what confidence level you guys aim for, but whatever the right number, how much data and time does it take for the this kind of technology to make it work in production environment?
Right. So so for around 70% of the total queries that come in, we are able to understand them by using your entire chat history. So when we start the integration, we integrate with your WhatsApp or Messenger channel, whatever you are using, and we use the previous history that you have with the agent. And right off the bat, using that data, we are able to reach a level where 70% of the queries are being understood and even handled successfully. And gradually over time, we increase that 70 to around 80 to 85%. The last 10 to 15% still remain very hard because they are one-off things. And we also handle those very seamlessly by actually transferring them to the agent, asking the user to rephrase once. So we have spent a lot of effort in making a very seamless transition to a human agent in that kind of cases.
Got it.
Yeah, but in terms of setup time, as you mentioned, it's actually a fairly quick setup. We actually set up for brands within a day. So we actually have an implementation team it's a fairly large implementation team, takes in the type of requirements from the end customers, and based on your backend system, because each person has their own backend, they have their data stored in maybe some sort of store manager, some sort of logistics company, so etc. So we have all those integrations built, and we have to kind of use that. We use that information to kind of get it up and running within 24 hours.
Got it. And there is another question on when is it the right time to onboard a technology like this? Let's say I'm a consumer brand just getting started. I've got a Shopify account. I've not started selling. And then at some stage, I start doing some SEO, some SEM, and then there is a business that is up and running. So there are different stages. In your experiences, in at least, when is it the right time? What things should I have typically done before I say, let me try this technology as well?
Right. Yeah, this is a really good point, and there are several stages in the life cycle of a brand. And in the initial stages, when you're just setting up that account in Shopify, you actually have to figure out what the brand is about, what the messaging is about, perfect the product, the distribution, and everything. So the focus should really be on that. But once you reach like a few million dollars of sales in a year, and you actually have to scale up. That is when you will see some unique kind of challenges, and that is at that point what happens is you start colliding with other brands in the same space. You start realizing that consumers start realizing that you as well as other brands have a very similar kind of product, and they start getting confused about which one they should buy, and that actually starts becoming a very big problem in scaling. So what we felt after doing a lot of research is, to actually scale beyond that part, you have to become a real brand. That means you don't have to sell a product, you have to have some kind of mind share in the customer's mind. And to do that, you have to have like very consistent communication messaging at each and every touch point that you have with the customers. And to scale up, you also have to start establishing different revenue channels, lots of different cohorts and marketing channels at that point. And it is at that juncture that you should actually start exploring chat as well as a communication channel, as a channel for commerce. Basically, it will not only help you establish yourself as a brand in the customer's mind, it will also take that brand to the next level in terms of scaling. So that is the ideal time, I think, in a brand's life cycle, when you actually need to go from like $2 or $3 million annually to around like $20 million or even more, when you are at that leg of your journey, basically.
Aniket, will it be fair to say then, to summarize what you're saying, that in the early stages of the journey, it's more like a good to have solution, to have conversation or chat, a commerce solution. And as you are scaling up, it's kind of a must have, because now it is more about saving cost, whereas earlier it's more about having, a better customer experience and convenience for your customers.
Right. I would say in the early stages, it would be a bit risky, because you also have to figure out your product and your messaging. So it will be doing too many things at once, and maybe you won't be able to make it work that well, and you might not be able to achieve the right volumes as well. So, but at that at a later stage, it will definitely become a must-have. That is what I feel, if you really want to become a very solid brand in the customer's mind.
So what scale you think is probably a right for someone to consider conversation commerce or chat-based commerce?
I feel that when you're sure that your website is working as a channel, when you're sure about your brand messaging and your product, I think that is definitely the time to start exploring new revenue streams. And like chat will, if you have all that thing set up, then chat will, our conversational commerce system will start working for you right from day one. You will start seeing those conversion rates right off the bat.
Aniket, just a follow up on that is, one is in Web 1.0 or early days, email funnels used to be a very interesting way of retention. And obviously you could orchestrate a whole branching kind of strategy on how people reacted to the first mail they sent, and then kind of re-engage them and then brought them back as repeat customers. Does your tech also help in re-engagement post-purchase for customers? For example, I bought, let's say, sunscreen from website, and can I interact with that customer to say, hey, here is 10 things to do this summer to take care of your skin. Here is use better cleansing products, and maybe here's a cleansing product that works for you. So does it work in re-engagement as well, or it's only a query solution kind of a tech?
Right. So our aim is not just to be like a query solution kind of thing, but to actually help you build that very strong brand in the customer's mind. And re-engagement is like one of the biggest pillars in that. And so, for example, if someone has bought some kind of personal care product like diet pills or some hair fall solution, like it is not very trivial to follow that regimen each and every day, or to even know like how much to apply each and every day. And that at that point, you can actually re-engage customers by taking them through personalized quizzes to give them that diet plan or that usage plan, or even answer those questions if they are incoming, like if they ask how to use this or how much should they apply each day, to actually like resolve those questions in a good way with confidence. And like if you actually focus on this re-engagement, then retention becomes automatic, because like you have created that brand in the customer's mind. And we actually help with that final level of retention as well. Like if you know that the product has run out after 1 month, you can directly ping them on WhatsApp and say that, hey, I think that you might have run out, and you can just reply yes, to buy this product once again, I'll give you a 15% discount for the next 48 hours, something like that. And it will be a constant touch point for you with your customers then overall.
And when customers are, interacting with you with the bot, let's say pre-purchase, answering their queries, etc. If the bot at any point of time hits a roadblock, or is not able to resolve the query, or if the customer is increasingly, you can see that the sentiment is going negative, is there a handoff that happens to like an agent, so that at least we don't want to be if a brand is worried about consumers not having the best of experience, is there a way for them to then get on top of it directly and deal with the customer?
Yeah, definitely. That is like a very critical part of the experience. When you're not able to give a good thing, when you're not able to understand what the customer wants, then how should you handle it? And for that, we have been able to make a kind of system which we call a smart agent handoff system, where we are able to take in several factors like the sentiment, like are people deviating from expected flows, or is the flow going too long or too short in some sense, or is the confidence level that we are interpreting too low for the user text? And we combine all these queries to understand that is this going to be a bad experience, or is this like moving towards a conversion? And we try to diagnose those problems before they really happen, before the customer becomes angry, and hand that off to the agent. So the agent's time actually gets spent on doing like real sales stuff rather than doing trivial stuff like just order tracking and like just seeing what the price of a product is or stuff like that. So they can actually be like dedicated sales agents who can handle those kind of complex queries. And that does happen around 10 to 15% of the time. So yeah, that is a very important thing to have.
Got it. Naman, any people have raised hands if you want to call them?
Some people raised, but I think they've lowered their hand now. So maybe they can already answer. Well, at this point, I'm sure a lot of brand founders must be excited about conversational commerce, and they must be they might want to know whether it is relevant for them or not. A lot of categories, customer behave differently. For example, something like a mattress, people takes a month long to probably buy. Whereas something like nutrition, people would want to much more solution oriented. They know what to buy. Apparel, they need variety, as you said earlier. And there are other categories like kitchenware where probably it's a lot of a commodity. If there is a need, they'll buy it immediately. What categories are more suitable for conversational commerce in your experience so far, and where you think probably it may be a stretch right now, given the technologies where they are currently?
Right. So I'll take that one. So basically, as we said, where chatbots, where this level 3 AI is working well is for consultative type of selling, when you're able to have it's almost like talking to a doctor or talking to experts about, what should I do in this particular type of situation. We see that arising a lot, like you mentioned, the health and wellness space. So people come and say that, I have issues with immunity. Do you have anything to boost my immunity? Straight off the bat. We can ask some other questions along the way that you also have like high blood pressure, because we might have two solutions. One that is for low blood pressure, one is for high blood pressure patients. So you have to just, you're asking for the right amount of information to give the right type of product to the end customer. They have a lot of questions around it as well. So again, the bot is great at answering those questions. Again, it understands the context. It understands what we're talking about. If you say that, what are the side effects? Can I use it with this type of pill that I bought from your company? The bot should be able to handle that. And whenever, this is also a very tricky topic. You never want to give wrong advice, especially in health and wellness. So that is something that's super critical. You can never trust a weak chatbot player and this is what has been seen in the market so far, is that sometimes these bots give the wrong advice. And that can really be bad for a brand, because that's negative publicity. You always want to make sure that you have a confidence of answering that question, only then you go forward. If something is not making sense, you then hand it off to an agent. Apart from this, you have things like, in terms of, I think, beauty and cosmetics. Again, people come all around the world asking for, again, how do I help with acne? How do I help with pigmentation? This all comes under consultative type of experiences. Mom and baby care. Again, they have a lot of questions regarding, how do I take care of my baby? What type of maybe diapers do I use for them? A lot of D2C brands around these spaces as well. Some type of industries where we struggle with right now is jewelry and fashion. like I said, it's an image-based problem rather than a text-based problem to a certain degree. People are not browsing on chat. People will only come to chat if they know that they've bought maybe a sweater from before and they want to buy another one. They might ask for discounts over there. They might ask for the latest trending items. But for browsing, typically a browser-based system would be better.
I think there are a lot of people who raise their hands. I might want.
So maybe why don't we give Nikhil and Aniket a break? Let me ask a question to Vinay. Vinay, we talked for 45 minutes about chat commerce or conversational commerce. I'm just curious. I know you work very closely with your portfolio companies on what front-end, back-end technology tools do they use. How many times has this particular topic come in those discussions? Like, is it something which is very well talked about, something very new for most of the brands that you have in your portfolio?
So it's a nuanced question, Rahul. So one is chat and conversational interface as part of the customer experience required? The answer is 110% yes, right? Typically, most of those use cases used to emerge as a customer service question rather than a customer engagement and sales question, especially in e-commerce. So there's also lead gen and all of those kind of businesses which are slightly different, where actually this could be up front and center. But in most e-commerce conversation, it was usually saying, hey, there are lots of queries coming back to us. Where is my parcel? I got a broken bottle. I had this problem, or the label wasn't great, or whatever the issue is. And that needed to be resolved by the customer service team. And therefore, the conversational commerce layer could actually filter some of this pre-filtering that Aniket was talking about. And then agents then just get down to business to resolve that issue pretty quickly. In the core acquisition funnel, we've not had much success with our chat unless it is like a lead-based, very involved purchase, like for example at Design Cafe, where somebody is looking to do up their home. It's a couple of lakhs outlay, and then they want to talk to someone and figure out, are you available in Martahalli, or are you, available with, do you do work with Shisham wood or whatever it is, right? So that's where those chat interfaces were, at least we've talked about it, implemented it, tried some stuff. In core acquisition funnels for e-commerce, very few and far in between, but always has been a, especially like the examples that Aniket was Nikhil was taking on health and wellness. I was like thinking of all my discussions with Gynoveda, and where we were saying, oh God, I wish there was a conversational piece here, because the customer has the same query, almost a similar query every time, saying, will it have side effects? Is it 100% natural? Can I return? What is the return policy if I don't like it? So, I mean, all of that, if we could solve in a manner that immediately would bump up our conversion rates and then has the right impact on the overall unit economics. So,
and how important is this? Like in a typical brand founder's mind, how important is this problem of this drop in the conversion or whatever, drop in the website traffic and all? Is it like among the top 3 problems in a founder's mind? Where does it fit in?
I'll let the experts answer, but I mean, if you don't have conversion, then unit economics will be shitty, right? So you need, I mean, that is the lifeblood of any kind of e-commerce, where you have good conversion rates that enables you to outbid anyone out there in the market for the keywords or the audiences that are important to you. You don't have good conversion rate, you're not going to be able to outbid them. So yeah, I mean, you've got to fix your conversion before you do anything else.
Okay. Karan is there. Naman, are we asking Karan to ask a question?
I'll wash my face.
Hi. Hey guys, I hope you can hear me.
Hi, Karan.
Hey, Karan Rathi here. A quick question I have for Aniket and Nikhil. At what point does chat start becoming spamming? I'm curious because I'm seeing you guys talking about remarketing and all of that. I think the reason why SMSs don't have a very high read rate is because of all of the spamming. People end up not following SMSs. Eventually, you have a true caller that blocks out SMSs. I don't know if in the future, with all of this remarketing that's possible on WhatsApp, either WhatsApp comes up with a new policy suddenly, Facebook, that, okay, now no longer are you going to have chats that have any kind of marketing content. Maybe they have their own AIs that block any kind of marketing content that they find. Or you have a true chatter for WhatsApp, that blocks out spamming guys. And the reason I'm asking this is because I know Limechat probably might not be involved in that kind of marketing. Maybe it has its own filters in place and its own policies. But like we've seen with the Indian market, eventually there are other players that keep coming in and they violate the rules in order to have that unfair advantage, which ultimately spoils the whole ecosystem. So I'm curious to know your view on when does WhatsApp come into play and start marking messages as spam, and how will Limechat prevent themselves from getting caught in this, the side effects of other players coming up and misusing the system?
Perfect. I think I'll try to answer that question to the best of my ability, Karan. Absolutely right. I think one of the biggest problems right now is about spam, in terms of all this content that each brand is trying to get some mind share, some time share with their consumers some way or the other. I think you have to be very vigilant. You have to be very careful about not venturing into that category. We take a lot of care of not being just outbound channels of marketing. We're not sending outbound messages to thousands of people. We don't do that. There are companies who do such things. However, it is not approved through WhatsApp already. WhatsApp has all its policies of getting the WhatsApp API. So all the people in the market who say they're doing WhatsApp outbound messaging, those are just pretty much companies who have thousands and thousands of WhatsApp accounts, and they're sending 200 messages from one WhatsApp number. It gets banned. They just get more numbers. This is something we see a lot during campaigning, political campaigning. We have to refrain from that. And it's WhatsApp is putting more and more barriers for such companies to get off the ground. It's good for us in a way that as long as we follow the rules, we'll be good. And over a period of time, WhatsApp and Facebook will create enough systems that will block out these spammers, because their whole messaging platform depends on the fact that it cannot support marketing messages. So even now, when we send an outbound message to a customer, all these messages are pre-approved from WhatsApp. You cannot just send an outbound with any kind of message in it. So again, you have to follow those rules. And again, second, we're not really focused on all this outbound messaging. We are focused on all the people who come and try to interact with you and engage with you. So they already have an intent to engage. So if a person wants to talk to you as a brand, we help talk to them. We help engage with that customer. Maybe even after they've left the website, we help engage with them. So people don't consider that as spam because they took the initiative to come to you through some sort of ad that they saw. So it's a fine balance that you have to maintain. And yeah, definitely, we work with brands to make sure that they don't cross the line. Otherwise, you get banned really quickly from WhatsApp these days.
Given that we only have 5 minutes, I have a request that people ask short questions, and we'll only allow one question, no follow-up question, so that we are able to accommodate. Molly, do you want to ask the next question?
Yeah, hi. I run a cosmetics business, and the question that I had was on the bot setup part. You had mentioned that it takes just a day to set up. But my question was that for the AI to work correctly and for the bot to reply right, does it take the information automatically from a source like a website? Or do you have to feed in all the possible questions and the answers? How does that whole setup thing work was my question.
Okay. So regarding the setup of the bot, it basically comprises of 2 different things. We have integrations with your backend databases, like we said, so you get your product information, we get your order status information. Now, information about the products themselves, again, this can come from like a Shopify or a WooCommerce, or we might ask you, just these are your products, put in the answer for, basic questions like side effects or natural, what are the ingredients? We have scrapers to help with that process. Now, talking about the personalization part, that's a tricky thing, right? So we've actually been training models for the past year, which take into account personalization for the customer in this buying journey. So those models are fairly generic. And what we do is we use your data, we use your conversations to make it more and more specific for your brand. So what happens is from day one, you won't have a perfect bot. You won't have a perfect product. It takes time. It takes maybe a couple of weeks. There's a concept in AI. It's called online learning. So what happens is with each and every conversation that's happening with the bot has a thing called confidence. It's a number between 0 and 100. What percentage of confidence does it have in answering that question? So low confidence kind of questions automatically get piled up. They get reclassified and retrained. So if you look at a period of maybe 2 to 4 weeks, which is what we call a pilot period of a month, you actually see that the bot becomes smarter, it understands more edge cases. And after those 4 weeks of being in deployment, you actually start seeing those conversion rates go up, right? So it's not a one-day process. It takes time to set up, but at the same time, it takes time to learn. It's not as easy as a click-based system that you just code it up once and it's ready. It'll get smarter with time and effort.
Great. Weber?
Yeah, hi. So my question was, I heard a lot about WhatsApp being used as a channel to actually kind of mirror how your website works and induce conversion. My question is, how open is WhatsApp as a channel for any kind of communication? Is it more pull or is it more push? Can I actually contact people or communicate people on WhatsApp about my product and then let the journey start? Or is it normally the consumer comes on WhatsApp through another of my touch point and then the journey starts? Because it's always a bit of a gray area for me as to how one can communicate on WhatsApp.
Right. So let me take that one. So WhatsApp has intended the use of its channel mainly as a pull-based system, and that is why it has placed a lot of restrictions for outbound campaigns and all that stuff. So usually, like, people come in through different touch points, and the largest chunk of that would be through ads if you want to scale it up. Otherwise, naturally, they would be coming through the website or directly through your WhatsApp number. And the procedure of sending outbound messages is also fairly nuanced. You can send any kind of outbound messages that you want to customers who have previously engaged with you within a 24-hour period. And like even for other kind of customers, you can send out outbound messages as long as like it is very relevant for them and they do not block your number, they do not mark it as spam in that kind of way. And WhatsApp also allows some kind of specific template messages which they approve to be sent out in an outbound fashion to as many customers as you want outside that 24-hour window. So there are several ways to bring customers on WhatsApp, but primarily like they have intended it to be a pull-based medium to carry out that conversational funnel.
Great. Harish?
Sorry guys, that was a slip of my hand.
No.
Glad to have you here.
Is this Kanika? Kanika, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, bit feeble, but we can.
All right, great. Hi. Actually, I have a new brand coming up with the name of Cos IQ, and it's a cosmetics brand. So I want to know that, like, how much control would we have on when exactly the bot will switch over to the real executive, and how useful would it be for me to, get it on my website?
Right. So there are two parts to this question, and the first part is about controlling the handoff to the agent. And we, as I said, we have the smart agent handoff system, which actually takes in several factors and then switches it over to the agent. So we do not the way in which we give you control over this is we help you set a kind of threshold. Like, do you want it to be very severe or just high or medium? Like, what kind of threshold do you want to keep on the kind of overall confidence before you want it to switch over to the agent? And you can actually you can actually analyze all these conversations which have happened earlier as well by our analytics dashboard. Like, you can see all kinds of analytics about what kind of how many conversations are getting transferred to the agent and what are those conversations and should I increase or decrease the threshold in that kind of sense. And I think the way our setup works is initially we do not directly want you to bring ads to WhatsApp. We want to give you some confidence that conversation as a channel is viable and it works and it gives good conversion rates, and it might be different for your brand. So we help you experiment with that. And as a first step for that, we only put the icon, the WhatsApp icon or the chat icon on the website, and and through our analytics dashboard, you are able to see exactly like how many customers are coming in, at which point of the journey are they dropping off, how much retargeting, how much people are converting on the first go, and how many are converting after follow-ups, all that kind of stuff. And once you have comfort with that, then you can think about scaling it up or whatever, right? So that is the way it works, and it is always a test in that sense, but up till now the results have been pretty good. So
great. So just in time check, we'll go for maybe 2 more questions. We are already over 1 hour. Vish, can you go with the next question? Vish, are you there? Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, Vish, go ahead. Sorry.
Yes, am I audible?
Yes.
Hello.
Last time. Anudeep, you want to go next?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, please.
Sir, currently I'm running a D2C brand in food and beverage space. So my actually in food and beverage space, as margins are lower, so what kind of CPA is viable so that you can get into profitability? Like currently it's around 300 to 500 is a cost per acquisition. So it's very difficult to get into profitability with such kind of CPAs. So I wanted some kind of tips from your end.
Vinay, do you want to take it? Though we'll keep it short, given that this is not the topic for today's discussion.
I'll kind of,
okay, Nikhil,
talk about CAC really quickly. So what happens is, I think you put on a really, really important point for most D2C brands, and that is their CAC, to think day and night about it. So one thing that we're trying to experiment with is what we call chat marketing. What that really means is that you identify certain cohorts of your users, and instead of sending them to the website, you send them to chat directly. And what happens is that with those particular users, you know that they have a much higher chance of conversion on chat. So automatically what happens is the number of acquisitions increases and your CAC actually reduces. So that's one particular type of experiment that we work on a personal basis with the companies we work with. We identify those cohorts and we figure out how to reduce their CAC, right?
Naman, last question. If you can identify some, I'm passing it to Naman so that nobody blames me later on. Ganesh?
Hi. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So my question is very specific. I have my website on WooCommerce. Does your solution give transactional messages as well? Like, for example, if there's an order placed, when the order is processed, when there's a tracking situation? Because so what I've realized is 70% of the questions that come in are related to these so-called stupid questions, which really bother the customer service executives. So most of these should be resolved. Emails do go out, SMSs do go out. There are still questions around these things. So that's all I wanted to know, that are the transactional messages going out at the right time through WhatsApp, through other whatever channels?
Absolutely. I think it's becoming more important for the brands to actually, as soon as the order is confirmed, you send an order confirmation message on WhatsApp. These things are allowed. See, WhatsApp, if you think about this, sending an order confirmation message is not spam. It is giving the right information. It's like almost booking a flight. You get a message from Ibibo or Book My Show. You get those messages, right? So it's similar to that. You can actually connect that.
I just want to add just one question to that, just one part of the question, second part. So for something like a beauty brand, when we know that this is going to end, the usage is going to end in a particular time period, are we allowed to send messages like, you might be running out of this, why don't you buy it again, kind of a message? Is that allowed on WhatsApp, to be specific?
Exactly. It's all about framing that message. Don't make it sound like promoting a new product or anything. It's just simple. You're asking them a question that, are you satisfied with the product you had and would you like to reorder? Right. Again, the bot will be able to answer. Like if the person says yes, All that person has to do is say yes. And you can actually, you know what the order was. You can just confirm from the person that, okay, this is the order, this is your address, I have all your information, I'm sending a new, here's a new payment link. So it actually happens at a touch of a button, and you can send those types of messages as well. So when a lot of beauty companies do that, because they have products that are recurring, maybe every 2 months you buy that same product, or even subscription-based services, which they have to get renewal every couple of months.
Great. So guys, we are, I think there are a lot of people more waiting to ask questions, but I think we'll have to switch off now. We had more than 100 people join for this chat. So we are hoping that, this will be something that people find useful. And as we had earlier said, Vinay and I will make sure that we continue this once every 2 weeks, hopefully. Thanks a ton to Nikhil and Aniket for giving your time. And and look forward to seeing everybody back soon.
And thanks everyone for joining. In case there are specific topics that you would like us to cover, do let us know. And Nikhil, Aniket, amazing conversation, guys. I mean, really eye-opening. What you guys are doing is phenomenal. Just waiting for level 4 AI now, who comes and then also knows my future. So I don't need to bother. But this is brilliant. And I have one question before I let you guys go. So while on the one end of the spectrum, we have people who are bothered about we don't want to chat with bots. How many people actually are friendly with the bots, send them good morning messages and jokes, and actually try to be friendly with it?
Actually, very few people actually, try to play.
I think I'm losing Nikhil. Are you guys able to hear Nikhil?
No, actually, I think he's frozen.
Sorry, Nikhil, we lost you.
Right. So basically, like, just to answer that question. So a lot of people, some people actually even after they have interacted with the bot, they do keep on sending random messages, good morning messages, some of their promotional content as well, or something about their life which is unrelated to the product or the brand and that kind of stuff. But they are only some of them. Majority of them want to actually just get their queries resolved and like seamlessly just check out that.
Great.
Thank you so much.
See you guys.
Probably next time onwards we can take more audience questions. We can start the process early on, but really enjoyed the discussion.
Thanks.
Yeah, definitely. And if anyone has any particular questions, you can always reach out to either Aniket or I or Naman or anyone. We'll be happy to always answer questions in this field.
Cool.
Great.
Okay. Bye-bye, guys. Thank you so much for hosting.
Thanks a lot.